anybody there?
I want to say that
There has to be some sort of a connection to that city. What is it?
I think what we're going to do is bring you in, and then when we bring Helen, we're going to keep you in. You could be like a co-host, so you could ask questions too and just join in. So that because I know as chairman, you're way involved in all this. So it's a perfect duo.
it can be a little tricky with the microphones, so because we only have 3.
Yeah,
Hey, do we have your mic, your singer mic, that we can use, George?
I don't know.
George has a singer mic that he uses sometimes. It's got a wire to it.
Another mic.
You need a mic?
Not right away, like the second segment. We can have one. I'm sorry, guys, it's a little warm in here.
So what's the dinner looking like?
We'll have a good crowd. We're
All
over
right.
300 right now. Yeah, so it should be good.
Is it
We
already
weren't sure.
broadcasting on YouTube?
One thing we learned with this dinner was
I'm going to try something different. I'm going to
October's
share
big
it
for
on
fundraising.
YouTube.
Everyone's fundraising. And so as we were
Have you
advertising
put that
in
on the
September,
chips and salsa?
we
No.
figured out like there's tons of fundraisers going on.
Let's see if I can
for
figure this out.
PACs and other groups. The other thing that made it tough was we didn't start selling tickets until July, which we thought, okay, well that's still two months, right? We got 8 weeks, but most of our districts don't meet in July.
Right.
Yeah.
And a lot of them didn't meet in August. So we had some districts that haven't met since June. And so although the tickets went on sale for almost 2 months, they haven't had a single district meeting. So they're having them,
So
a
when
few
I
days
check,
ago.
it should come up on YouTube, right?
Wednesday, Thursday this week we had a bunch of districts meeting. We have some districts that are just meeting
Salsa
this
is.
coming week. So that we kind of learned the hard way of, although it's plenty of time to sell tickets, a lot of PCs get their news when they go to their meetings.
Absolutely.
And
Yeah,
so
I'll
some of
just
them
share it
haven't
from your
even
Facebook
met
site.
since tickets haven't been on sale. So we're still finding PCs. We're like, I haven't heard of this. So next time if we do another one in September
Okay.
or October, we're
Then I'll
going to
go
make
to
sure
the
everything's
Facebook
locked
site.
down by June. That way, if they don't meet in July or August, maybe they met in June.
Yeah, the first segment we'll just have one guest, but the second segment,
But you
from there on
usually
we'll have
see
all
this
4.
in the years where you've
Oh,
done our
and then the Prather
Oh, yeah.
point, we'd like to do it during the first also.
So-
Oh yeah.
Okay.
And same with us. Like
It's just
bylaws are only required to meet 6 months of the year
Right.
in the off years. So summer is the likely
do
time.
you, because I got all these emails, do you email blast out to all the PCs on that?
We do not have an email for most of the PCs.
Really?
That sucks. I can't
It
believe
does.
it.
So
But-
I must be getting mine from my district then.
It could be a lot of the districts have a bigger portion of their PCs than the county. The problem that we've had is
Are
a
we
few
up now?
things. One, we've
Sometimes
had
I have to go back out
people
and
in
come
the
back in.
past give out PC emails, and so an ex-chairman would leave, or even during, or someone on their staff would give it out to
Alright,
a
36
website
at
or
the top of
blog,
the hour.
Okay.
and so people don't want to do those anymore.
Did you share it on your... She's got it up already,
Okay.
so you can share the show. Here we go.
I have a surprise for you, Alice.
You do?
Yep.
I'm so excited. So you can... Sonia has it on our site now, Facebook, so you can share it to your own if you want, the show.
I shared it to the county, the page for the county party.
commercial. Oh, okay, cool.
Alright, top of the hour.
www.centralcityradio.com.
Podcast is rolling. George, make sure your mic is a little more tilted up.
CentralCityRadio.com. 4 p.m. and time for the Chips and Salsa
I found
Show
it.
here on Central City Radio KMFM.
Your amigos in salsa are in the Molcajete now. George Ortiz, Alice Lara, the only woman in radio who makes sense.
Julian, I have to give you big kudos. You found it. Woohoo! It's 4 p.m. and it is time. Yay for you. Woo! It is time for the Chips and Salsa Show. I'm Alice Lara, along with the other co-host.
Jorge El Alacran.
Some people know him as George Ortiz. Some people know him as
Jorge.
the Scorpion King.
The Scorpion King.
And some people know him as Grandpa and whatever. But we just like him because he always wears his Make America Great hat. Again, yeah.
I'm the Trumpster, the
Deplorable.
Hillary's deplorable. One of
Yeah.
the Hillary's deplorable.
Oh yeah. Hey, it's good to be back. I was gone last week. I was in New Mexico. I want to give a shout out, George.
Yeah, I had to. Oh, you're gonna do a
Yeah,
shout
I'm
out
going to
to
shout
Mexico.
out. David Beasley, the little music that you're. It's my nephew. He composed that music, and while he was in the Air Force Band, but he pulled together these musicians. One of them was his teacher, I think, from high school. A couple of friends, a couple of my nephews who live in the Dallas, Texas area. They're very talented musicians, and we had this wonderful big orchestra that played big band music, which I love. That's my parents' music. And it was such a great time. So thank you for holding down the fort Saturday. You did a great job.
It was quite a daunting task.
Yeah, so shout out to David Beasley, my nephew, and then my other nephews, Alan Lara, and also Mark Anthony Lara. So thank you very much. Had a great time. It was great. I posted some of that stuff. Maybe we'll have some music later. I have it on my phone. It'll be fun to do. You did a wonderful job. Those are great guests. Edna San Miguel.
Edna San Miguel is running in the CD3 against
Raúl Grijalva.
Yes,
yes.
And then she's running a little bit. Her campaign now might get more better than last time. I gave her some hints. I told her be more intense. Just concentrate on your constituents. In the area. Talk to your people, and try to be strong. There might be other people running. I hear there might be a couple other candidates coming up running. So then it becomes a different story because we can't, favor one over the other.
Well, and one thing about it, if you listen to the Chips and Salsa show, what we really try to do here, if this is the first time you listen, George and I are, obviously we're both Republicans, we're Latino, and we kind of give you that perspective, and we try to keep you posted on the latest political news with that. So we feature candidates, we want you to know what's out there. Also, Reverend Clyde Bowen was on with you too. He did a good job.
Yeah, well, he did a good job. He represents,
ARC.
They're having an Emancipation Proclamation celebration coming up, and I want to at least mention that it's a big event.
It's going to be great.
That him and his organization put on, and I think he's with LD28.
I believe so, and then his organization is the American African Republican Committee. I think ARC. I hope I have that right.
ARC. Yeah, I thought he was talking about that ark that they built, like an amusement park. And when he kept saying the ark, I thought that's what he was talking about. Did he corrected me?
No, but so we welcome the Chipsters. We also have to say today is September 16th, and this is Mexican Independence Day. So because my heritage is Mexican, I have to say that. But there was a big grito. I guess there's a big giant grito that happened, which is shout. It's Spanish for shout. It happened on the 15th, maybe. And then it was their independence from Spain. So we say that, and you can celebrate it. Go have a beer or something like that. But we celebrate here every Saturday at 4 p.m. We celebrate the show because we're gaining a lot of listeners, and we hope that you go. If you're listening on Facebook or watching us, please share that show. Also, George, I'm still beating you on friends that like our page. I'm beating
500, and you're in the 600.
691. So I would like to keep beating George. We would like to get to the 3,000 like points by November, because November is our 3-year anniversary.
Yep, with the Central City Radio.
Central City Radio has been great to us. Julian is the owner, and he's a technical director here. He takes care of us. And if you're thinking about doing a show, politic or otherwise, give him a call, because this is a very affordable format. Get you a sponsor and come and do this. Come hang out with us some Saturday, and you can see what we do. It's a really nice way to get your message out there.
We reach out to a broad amount of people. I know a lot of people. I went to the city council recently for the meeting that they just had, and the Chinese Cultural Center was brought up.
We're going to talk about that.
And everybody I spoke to, a lot of people I spoke to, I said, yeah, I'm on the Chips and Salsa show. Oh, I've heard of that. I was like, I get surprised when I hear people say they've heard about it.
I know. Well, you know who we are? Wow, that's great. Hey, I want to give some birthday shout-outs, too. Today is my brother's birthday. Ralph Lara, happy birthday. He's been a military moment here. Happy birthday to you. And you also have Dion's.
My wife's birthday was Wednesday, right? So,
the Divine Miss Dion. And Georgie's, too?
And Georgie's birthday, he's in Okinawa, Japan. His birthday's Tuesday, this coming Tuesday. So.
Wow. How old is he now? Can we say?
He'll be 24.
24.
Someone has all the answers. She's my brain.
I've known him since he's a kid, so, I call him Georgie.
So,
wow. Yeah. We're going to be talking real soon here.
And they fired a missile right over Japan.
Oh, man, they know he's there.
They
know he's there.
He said they're ready. He says they better not mess with the U.S. He says he says, I can't tell you, because he's, the stuff that he does is kind of a lot of the secret.
Sure.
he says they have stuff that you can't believe. He says they don't want to mess with them. And the way he said it, it sounded kind of like what Trump says on it.
That's awesome.
Don't mess with
George,
us.
how about if we'll play the Prather Point and then we'll bring on our great guest, one of our great guests, Chris Herring.
I know we have two great guests here
County
today.
Chairman. Yeah.
Who are two
We're going to have, as I said, Chris Herring. He is the Maricopa County Chairman. And then also we have Helen Purcell. She was the former county recorder for about 30 years, I think, right?
Right.
28, okay. She did a fantastic job
all our
and
listeners
knowledgeable. This is a great show. Even if you don't live in our county, in our state, you want to listen to this show
Yep.
because there's a lot of good information about voting, and you'll learn.
These are two great guests that we have today.
We are. So if you're ready, Julian, shall we play the Prather Point?
Play the baby.
Jeff Prather, Fast and Furious Whistleblower. Lots of good stuff here, so listen closely.
Insider, now living outside the box, speaking truth to power on the Chips and Salsa Show with this week's Prather Point. First, keep the Virgin Islands and London in your prayers. Good news, though. North Korea is firing more missiles, but they're not going to attack because Kim Jong-un would not survive any kind of attack. He's simply a tyrant that starves his own people and bullies the rest of the world into giving him money for his failed policies. Also, good news, trans felon trader Chelsea Manning, a fellowship to Harvard on intelligence has been revoked, as it should, because as a junior soldier, she knew nothing worth bringing him or her to Harvard. It was simply happening because of what he represented, just like the Nobel Prize was given to Obama, not for anything he had done, but what he represented. Other good news, Shapiro has been allowed to speak at Berkeley despite the anti-fascist violence and trying to control and suppress the First Amendment. Bad news, Amazon is now controlling, rather, the DoD's secure network, just as Google data mined for Obama. And this is why we see the deep state government so seated with the left, because these giant, super rich, hyper powerful corporations that control internet and cyber information are so powerful that they have their fingers deep inside the government. That's why you see the CIA, the State Department, deep state so left-leaning, because that's where the money is. Rice has not admitted that she lied, just like she lied about Benghazi, that she did unmask people. This should scare people, but this is a big story. It's not being covered. This was for political purposes, not for intelligence purposes.
1 minute left in the
It should
segment.
be prosecuted.
That's a long one.
But our Attorney General Sessions is turning out to be quite the dud. Judicial Watch has got more emails, and there's a judge that is looking into those who destroyed emails for Clinton, who it turns out is lying more. But the analysis here is that our intelligence community and our Department of Justice are so corrupt that they have destroyed our republic. And we should not support the rhinos who are doing nothing. We should support Judicial Watch, who is actually doing more. They're kind of like the Tea Party. So that's it for this week. This is Jeff Prather on the Chips and Salsa Show with this week's Prather Point. For more Prather, go to pratherpoint.com.
And as always, Jeff Prather, man, he covers it all.
He's our secret agent.
He is a Fast and Furious whistleblower. He's still behind the scenes. He knows people that are there, so he always gives us some good information. And with that, he kind of gave us a little news history there. We're going to bring, for the rest of the segment, and then continue for the rest of the show, too, Chris Herring, who is the chairman of Maricopa County Republican. Did I say that right? Committee? Did I say that right, Chris?
Yeah, Maricopa County Republicans, Maricopa County GOP. We go by a lot of names, but we're the Republican Party representing the largest Republican county in the United States.
We are the largest.
We're the largest that votes Republican.
There you go.
And so if you look at election results, we provided more votes towards President Trump than any county in the country, Republican or otherwise. And so there's other counties that are larger, but in terms of Republican votes, we provide the most votes in any county in the country for Republican
Now,
candidates.
last meeting, I went to your last meeting, and I believe that it was Supervisor Clint Hickman who reminded us, or maybe you did, of the fact that in Maricopa County we had the most voters for President Trump.
Yep,
Right.
that's correct. We had the most votes for the president. You know, when we talk to people about, you know, county politics, if they come from the Midwest or back east, they think of county politics as local, which county politics is definitely local. But in Maricopa County, we have more voters than a lot of states. And so, you know, we're a county for sure, but in terms of scope, money that's spent, the number of voters that participate in our elections, you know, take a state like, you know, Arkansas, and we provided, you know, thousands more votes towards the president just in Maricopa County than they did in the entire state. So, you know, we are very large, both geographically as a county and then really population-wise. Population-wise, we're in the top 5 of counties in the United States, and we're the only one that that's Republican. All the other large counties vote Democrat overwhelmingly. So it's an interesting place to be, also because our state capital's here. That's very unusual to have both the state capital and the center of population for a state in the same place, and that's what Phoenix provides as the seat of the county and as the capital of the state.
So we are very unique, and I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think we're also unique in that you, as a county chairman of such a big population, you're fairly young. You're kind of a whippersnapper, you'd say. But you are, I want to say, before I don't want anybody to get dissuaded with that, because I've gone to a couple of meetings. This guy is sharp and runs a tight ship.
He does,
and I
he does.
just want to give you super kudos, and I have a couple other people here who can vouch for that as well. Do a
Yeah,
great job.
I've sat in with other chairmen, and I really respect Chris Herring. He's done a great job. He's doing a great job. He has great vision for the county and great vision for the Republican Party, and he's trying to unite so many people, and he's doing such a great job. And I say it as a chairman. I'm one of 20 some odd chairmen, or 30. What is it, 30 chairmen now?
There's 20 chairmen in the county. Yeah,
20 chairmen.
30
Out of the
statewide.
20 chairmen, I'm just one. And it's my point of view that, you know, I think, and I speak for other chairmen too, that you know, our chairman is right
Yeah.
on, spot on.
We just have a
Well,
minute,
thank you.
and thank you, yes. And the next segment, we're going to bring Helen in as well. But why are you so much into politics in 30 seconds?
I grew up in LA, so I know how bad things can be. I know what high taxes do, what overregulation does. When I moved to Phoenix, it was really eye-opening to see how things could be just so much different. So, you know, I'm in favor of small government. I'm in favor of letting the individual decide as much as they possibly can for their own future. And you know, the Republican Party, that's at its core what it's all about, is about self-determination, individual liberty, and letting people decide their own future.
And we're so lucky that you did decide to move here, because a lot of Californians are doing, because Arizona's conservative. And we want all of you to stay conservative and keep listening to the Chips and Salsa Show here on Central City Radio, King FM. Do not go away. Stay tuned.
I want to take a few minutes.
We're going to do 2 minutes in this set,
Okay.
so 2 minutes.
We have a 2-minute break.
Yeah, only 2 minute break this time.
Okay, George.
We have 2 minutes, and I want to say a couple of things. One, that Chris, thanks to his board,
I'm sorry.
and I'm speaking.
4 minutes. I meant
I'm
flip it
speaking
the other way.
to
Oh, okay.
YouTube
4 minutes.
and Facebook, that Chris has a great board that backs him up and works for him. Well, doesn't work for him, they work together. And he's got a great board. His first vice chair, his secretary, all the members of the board, and kudos goes to the whole board. They're elected, and together they form a good organization for us, the chairman, to follow. So anyway, you have a great board. And,
Totally
I
agree.
haven't seen that in a long time.
Yeah. We're lucky to have a board that's on the same page, that even when we disagree, we keep it in-house. And, you know, that's led to us being able to focus on our big picture vision. And so it's fantastic to have all of them kind of on one page together.
This is as long as I got.
You know,
They're so
before the,
talented. You got talented.
So
yeah,
you got
she can
talent.
sit here and
You
then
know,
George so I can come over.
Each one brings their own little talent.
Here,
You know, from your secretary, from your the treasurer.
Yep.
I mean, they're all doing such a good
Yeah,
job
make that
in the
happen.
jobs that they're assigned to.
Yeah.
And it's a great board. So everybody, we got a good chairman.
Okay, George, I'm gonna have to
And,
the microphone thing.
I want to mention also Andy Zhang. Oh, thank you. I've been looking at that upside down. I was like,
It was upside down.
it's in
But
distress.
You were a little upside down. This was a test. How many watchers check that out?
Well, I was looking at it. I was like, I put it upside down. I put them on. And I was like, I put that one upside down.
Oh, say
for
hi
the
to
next-
Brad Zinn. He's
do we need
listening.
to toss this over to Helen?
Well, we're figuring out the mic situation.
Yeah.
Yeah, because so she's next, then just basically just swing it
Okay.
over to
Yeah, but
Do
I
you
want him
want
to
the
be able to
headphones?
talk.
You don't technically need them.
Well,
Why don't we
that's the
give
problem.
him my
So
microphone,
it's-
George? And what if I use that? What if I use this microphone?
Could you use that one?
I can use the wire microphone.
Swing it to him.
Swing
and
this
then
one.
Yeah,
You can swing.
this one.
let's make sure that this
No, but I mean,
reach you.
if this reaches me better, I can use that
There's
mic.
probably a better chance of it reaching you.
Okay, there you go.
Okay, I don't want to knock anything over.
Yeah, that'll work.
Okay, that'll work.
Okay, I think we can swing
And then
this.
you got the YouTube one. We're good.
I feel like a singer, yeah.
That's what I do when I get that. Like, you kind of get carried away. You think
I got an arm, but see, it's way over there, and I don't have any more on this side, so for this one.
that's good. That's good the way it is.
Okay.
Do you want to do what George did and use this cup or something for
Oh, for the deal to hold it?
1 minute?
And I might have a cup.
I want to mention on YouTube and Facebook one of our new sponsors, Nexus, with Nexus Construction, is one of the leaders of steel construction industry in Arizona and California, working closely with big metal building suppliers around America. They have the ability to create exactly what you're looking for in metal fences, metal. They do a metal wall. They're selling in furniture stores now.
So just as far as it
they put
holding
this
it would be better.
wall
Okay.
made out of wood or metal
So
in
yeah,
the
just
bedroom
sort
or
of like
something.
that.
You just
Put this down.
swing it. It's,
Yeah.
it's really a popular item.
Make sure you open so I
I
can
have
make sure
a
that.
picture. Oh, I
Okay.
have a couple of pictures of it.
All right.
All right, 10 seconds.
10
stand
seconds,
by.
George.
Anyway, there's a picture. And they're very popular now. Anyway, Nexus,
5 seconds.
and we'll be telling you more.
That is just always one of my favorite ones. You know, I'll defend to the death your right to say it. I'm Alice Lara, and this is the Chips and Salsa Show here with...
Okay, the deplorable.
And if you're watching us on Facebook, you notice I have the Singer microphone. This is really cool. Usually George gets to use it. We needed 4 mics, so I'm going to use this. If I start breaking into song, I'm sorry, but I can't help myself. I love to sing. I don't sing very well, but I love to sing, so it might happen. I do want to sing about, though, guess who's watching us? I just got a text from Brad Zinn.
Brad Zinn, yeah.
Brad. We got to have him on the show.
Oh, you definitely have to come back, Brad.
Yeah, if you don't know who Brad Zinn is, this guy can do Reagan. He's really into the classics. Jack Benny. If you haven't seen his show,
he is
you
great.
must go see it. So
I
we'll
know
have him on real
Helen's
soon.
seen it.
Oh, he's
Seen it.
fantastic, yeah. So we welcome you back to the show. I want to make sure I have all my announcements. Okay, is that better? How's that? Okay. All right. Sorry if I didn't sound too good, but Julian's hooking me up here to sound better on this. I think we hit all the news stories. In fact, I believe that Jeff Prather did that all. One of the stories, and we're going to introduce our next guest, and we're going to talk about the illegals that are voting in American cities. So now we're going to keep Chris Herring on with us,
Right.
and he is the chairman of Maricopa County Republican Committee. And we're going to bring on Helen Purcell, the former Maricopa County recorder. Welcome, Helen, to the Chips and Salsa Show.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Oh, we're so happy to have you here.
Thank you.
I wish you were still recorder.
No,
Man, she did such a great job for a long time.
she did a great job.
And
I worked under the county as a poll worker, as an inspector, and then as a troubleshooter under Helen, and under her guidance and stuff. And she ran a tight ship.
I want to tell you that, in fact, I think it was the Latino Tea Party she went to go speak at, and I saw her speak. And I asked her a question. Like I didn't realize that. I probably kind of put her on the spot, but I said, what do you think's better? Do you think mail-in ballot's better or a different type? And And she gave a great answer. She said, you know what? It's what the people want. So this is a person who understands our system. She really does. Helen, give a little quick bio for those who may not know you out there yourself.
Well, as you said, I was county recorder for 28 years, and so we went through a lot of different changes in the election world, and I've worked with a lot of county chairmen too, and I will have to say kudos to you because you've done an excellent job. I really appreciate that.
Thank you.
It's not easy sometimes, and the county reporters in the elections department are kind of demanding on the parties, but we've got to, conduct it, and the parties have to help us with that, with the people that they give us for the poll workers and so forth. So I appreciate all that you do in that stuff.
Thank you.
So we really miss you, Helen, but we have to deal with what we have, and we do have a recorder, Fontes, right now. And what I'd like to do is just talk a little bit about, and George can speak to this because he's actually been in the trenches there trying to learn more about this proposed new way of voting. And I know, Chris, at some of the county meetings, there's a concern about it.
Yeah, he's been very involved in this too.
My just in a nutshell, what kind of bothers me, I think we're all going to be just taking our ballot there, or it's printed out there at the time, George. Is that what happens?
When you go to, if you go.
This is proposed. It's not passed yet because the county board of supervisors have to pass it.
In the county election, or in these elections, 2000.
No,
jurisdictional elections for 2017, like City of Phoenix, City Council.
The small ones.
System. Yeah, they're much smaller.
Yeah, they're small.
But also, they're going to send everybody a ballot.
Yes.
So they're already going to have a ballot in their hand.
This year.
Yes.
Yes.
So it's just the centers that he's talking about are just replacement centers. So if you didn't get your ballot, or if something happened to your ballot, then you can go get a replacement. But when we're looking at next year, there's going to have to be some legislation passed to do what he wants to do.
Yeah, and I don't see that happening. I've talked to some people, and the big thing that I think is important, and this goes for anyone out there that's not in Maricopa County, the role of the county recorder, or whoever's running the elections department, is to build confidence in the process. And the big problem that we had with the ballot centers was it was a historic election, and the voters that turned out were very unexpected for our presidential preference, which we do here in Arizona. And so those ballot centers got overwhelmed. Ballot centers, he's proposing, or Adrian Font's proposing ballot centers, which means you might not have a polling place in your precinct. You might have to drive 10 minutes away if you want to vote at a polling place. The problem is, whether it works or not is not really the question. It's whether the voters will trust it next year. And because we have these very long lines, and if I'm a voter, especially in my area where I live, it's predominantly older voters. We have Sun City, which is a retirement community. It's age protected. You have to be of a certain age even to live there. And so that's a big portion of our voters. Those voters, they don't want to risk driving to a polling location and having a 30-minute or an hour line.
And they are traditionally, I want to go to the poll and do my vote. I do too, personally.
And so the idea of, well, if they don't want to wait in a line, they can get it by mail. Well, now you're taking the decision away from the voter. And you're saying, if you don't like my method, here's another one, like it or lump it kind of thing. And that's not what we should do in any role in government. And so I explained this to the recorder, and the deputy recorder is actually a Republican. And I talked to him, Matt Morales.
Matt Morales,
and I talked to Matt, and I said, the problem that you're going to have is not whether your system works on paper. It's whether the voters are going to trust it leading up to Election Day. Because if they don't trust it and they decide to stay home, that's a failure in the system that you set up. So I think that's really important. Helen, we were very blessed to have Helen for 28 years. I'm the chairman of Maricopa County Republican Party. In my lifetime, there has never been a Democrat recorder in Maricopa County. So I'm the first chairman in the time I've been alive that has to work with a Democrat. So
you are the chosen one.
I really wanted Helen to win because it causes a lot of problems when you've got people that don't know what they're doing. Helen had years of experience and knew what worked and knew what didn't, and Fontes is kind of saying, let's try some different things, and he's trying to field test ideas on an election, and that's really not a good idea.
Well, and you can't do apples to apples or apples to oranges type of thing, because you can't compare this election to maybe this other election. They're all unique. So we had a unique election in that there were only Republicans and Democrats, Libertarians and Green that could vote in that election. So now you're going to have an election where you're going to mix in the independents, the people that are not registered with any party. So how is that going to play out when you're talking about vote centers?
Yes.
That's adding a different element to it that makes it a completely different election.
Yeah, absolutely. And we have, I mean, you would know better than I do, we have a few 100,000 independents in Maricopa County.
It's about, right now, it's about a third and a third and a third, so there's quite a few of the independents.
Yeah, so we're not talking to some states independents might be small. Here in Maricopa County, it's hundreds of thousands of voters in that independent category.
And Helen, what I remember too about that election, when I went to vote, I only waited like 15 or 20 minutes, but in the afternoon I cruised by to see the lines, and it seemed to me there were so many people there, they typically don't vote, and a gal from my neighborhood, she was working the polls, and she said they even had people go up and down the lines and remind them, you know, this is the primary, and if you're an independent, you know, it's not going to count. Now, they can't refuse. What I understood, she said they couldn't refuse. They had to still let them to vote, even they insisted. And there's a little bit of a conspiracy person in me that thought, I think they just flooded the gates, maybe, to make it
even the supervisors took the they took the responsibility at the meeting. They were talking to us. We have one representative, and they said they took the responsibility because they sat as a group and decided that that's the way they were going to do it, and it wasn't just, you know, Helen's decision. It was a decision made by quite a few people to do it that way.
Well, the Board of Supervisors, the County Board of Supervisors, had to approve it.
Yeah,
and they did approve it. All of them did, right? Unanimously.
It was decided that
But it was
might be the
something
right
that I brought to them.
Right.
So that's, and you know, they were used to me bringing things to them that were going to work, and in that instance, it did not. And you know, I told everybody afterwards it didn't work.
But I even remember too, you came to our club, and it was going to save a lot of money. And based on the past history, more people do the mail-in ballots. I mean, it seemed very logical.
At that time, we didn't even know that we were going to be funded by the state. They still hadn't determined that we were going to be funded or how much. So naturally, you try to do things as we always do in Republicans. We try to do things as economically as we possibly can.
Certainly. Absolutely. That's the kind of a definition of the Republican. Get more for your buck. Okay. Is that better now? Okay. All right. Sorry about that. I got to get used to this singing mic. Maybe I should just sing and that would help. I don't know, right? So Helen, now that you're kind of a civilian, I'll call you civilian. Oh gosh, we have 1 minute. It's going to go really fast because we've got two great guests. But I want you to be thinking about what are your thoughts as you look and see what's going on, you know, good or bad. Maybe you see some good things. Maybe you see some bad things. When we come back, we'll talk more about that. And also you too, Chris. And I want you to share with what's going on with the county. You guys got a lot of good stuff. We're going to talk about the Constitution dinner and all that good stuff as well too. So we're going to go away for a couple of minutes. But if you're watching us on Facebook, George has some announcements. We take full advantage here because we are Republicans. We're very conservative. So anytime we can have some Facebook time or sound time, we will be on the air. So don't go away and stay with us. I'm Alice Lara, and George Ortiz is here, or Don Jorge de Alacran, here on this Chips and Salsa show. And you're listening to Central City Radio, King FM. Stay with us.
For our Facebook and YouTube listeners and viewers, we have another sponsor that we want to mention, Andy Zhang. He's an activist in the Chinese community, and he's been promoting saving the Chinese Cultural Center. I was at the city council meeting this past week, and the Chinese community came out in mass in support of the Chinese community. What they're trying to do right now is get as many signatures as they can. So go to the website that we have listed in our Facebook site, and also on my site. With Andy Zhang and the Chinese Cultural Center signatures.
They've got about 19,000 signatures, I think, and this is really making some headway. Andy couldn't be with us. I think he's out of town this weekend. We're hoping to have him come back.
Yes.
And do that.
The developer paid $10 million for the property. He offered it back to the Chinese community for $30 million. He's making a little hefty profit.
Because they just
The Chinese community are exploring they're exploring different avenues
My precinct is
of which way to
100%
go.
built out. There is no vacant land. There is no construction.
Follow
There
our
will be zero
tweets on Andy
population
Zhang
in my
and the
precinct.
Chinese Cultural Center.
And he's
And
breaking
also
the free
on
because
Nexus,
there's a city
another
council
sponsor.
district line that goes
And,
through it.
like
And he goes, well, we
and,
don't want the precinct to
if
have
you
more
need
than one
any
city council
woodwork,
district.
any,
Because there's different ballots. I said, well,
any,
there's different ballots whether you change the line or not.
any,
You still got to send that voter to that ballot
types
with that
of,
city council.
woodwork
And
or
me,
metalwork,
my city council.
call
You can change the
Nexus.
precinct line.
Their
Doesn't
number
change the number of
is
ballots combinations you have to create.
480-212-3252.
So
And,
I don't think he's.
He had a couple
and,
of precincts out on the
download
side
some of their
that looked very, very long.
fantastic
All right,
work.
1 minute.
Some of their fantastic work. And
Yeah.
this is some of the work that they do. And
There's a ton that are
they
unnecessary.
do fencing, they do
Yeah.
all kinds
So,
of metal.
I think
food.
Alice
He is a master.
We're gonna wait for the
woodworker.
census.
He's been doing the,
Census is gonna tell us.
one truth at the end of the
That's
segment.
the reason to work.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Do you want to do it at the end? You want to do one truth coming in?
Yes.
We can do that.
You want to do one truth now or at the end of the
That's the
segment?
vibe I'm starting to get from the board because we can't meet with them together.
We're asking you.
Separate when we're talking, but I'm getting
Okay, we can do it
you're
at the
ready
end.
to deny all but the most
Well, we can do it at the end.
So, which is gonna be good.
Remind me to try and do it at the end of the segment.
Split into 6 precincts.
Okay, just as long as you remember.
Because it's
My thing is I
I'm gonna give
forget.
it I'm gonna give it 2 minute warning.
Okay, so we'll do it at the end.
All right.
Let's do the cocotazos.
Yeah, there's others. that
Let's
were
do the
like-
cocotazos coming in.
There's no
I want to mention too, you know, Andy, he's actually the vice
All right, stand
president
by, we're
of
going.
the Arizona Asian Alliance, so he knows what he's talking about. Okay, thanks for staying tuned.
Which of the Latin countries are you from? The one with the Civil War, the one with the cocaine, or the one with the fancy hats?
You know, that dancing music. Thank you, David Beasley. We appreciate it. Hey, one more thing. I want to give a shout out to my great niece, Monica Lara. She did our logo. You know, we're all in the molcajete.
Yeah, that molcajete is like, everybody knows it. You know?
If you need any artwork, she's got a Facebook site. It's Monica Lara, just regular conventional spelling Monica, and then Lara, and she'll do a great job for you.
Yeah, because that was the original molcajete, and then we got the one with the 3 of us, and so
Yeah.
it just developed over time, and she's our artist for that, and it's great.
She's very talented. Speaking of some different things too, an artist, we have to do the cocotazo. So I don't think you guys got to it
Right.
last week. So Chris and Helen, do you know what the cocotazo is?
You know what? I actually pay attention to the show.
Thank you.
And so it's a knock on the head when you're a knucklehead, right?
That's perfect explanation.
And that's I call my nephews knuckleheads, and so there's my English translation.
And you can give them a cocotazo. So we have a couple of things for
Yeah,
cocotazo this
couple.
week. One was there, and you can go to our Facebook site, Chips, Letter, and Salsa Show. Remember to like it if you haven't already. And we've got some statue covers. They're trying to cover up. I think it's, isn't it? Who are they covering up? Thomas Jefferson.
Thomas
Jefferson.
And a few other ones. That
Which,
they just,
oh my
it's so
gosh.
silly. I mean, it's not silly, sad.
It's sad.
Because, you know, those have been around for years and years.
All of a sudden, it's starting to bother everybody. Oh my God, I'm so
It's not
insulted. I'm so
politically correct.
triggered. The other one too is, I think this is your favorite, George, about the poll stealers. Did you see that?
It was so, I mean, that was so crazy. They're going down the street with a light pole in the back of their truck, and they're stopped by the police. And this is in Florida. And said,
Were they looters?
Yeah, they were stealing the flag, a light pole, and they said they were moving it from one location to the other. But when they looked in the record, they had been accused of stealing copper and stuff all around
George,
the city.
there weren't strippers that were trying to steal that big pole, were they?
No, there were two gentlemen.
There's a
But that
pole
is so-
dancing there.
They
Oh.
need a Cocotazo award. I mean, this was a big pole.
I saw that. That was amazing. So do you want to give them? Should they get the cocotazo of the week?
That's who I nominate.
The pole stealers.
The pole stealers.
Oh my gosh. We do this every week. So if you have a cocotazo you'd like to tell
There's
us
some other
about.
ones, the tennis shoe stealers that were breaking in and
Oh,
stealing tennis shoes.
and they
now
stole the
they're-
boxes of tennis shoes?
Yeah, and then now they're gonna have to pay time for stealing tennis shoes
Well, we
during
were
a storm.
before the show. Helen was telling us, and we were just how disgusting to be doing that with everything else that they have to take care of, and they're looting.
They have to worry
Ugh.
about
Man, it's horrible. So, but if you have a cocotazo that you'd like to tell us about, we try to do one every week. You know, we never have a lack for material. There's always something going on that's, deserves it, right, George?
Yep.
But
Always go-
let us know about it. And then I want to take a couple of seconds too. I wasn't able to go see Jeff DeWitt last Saturday. I had to go to New Mexico. But understand, Helen, you were there at Central Republican Women of Phoenix. Did a great job.
Did a good job, yeah.
Excellent. We're going to have our next meeting will be October 5th. So we'll keep you in line, and we're going to go back, I think, to our regular venue at the Hilton over on Central and Thomas. And then also, our LD 27, we'll be having, it's not going to be a meeting per se, we're going to have a social hour, and that's going to be on the 10th of October in the evening at 7. So come join us. We're going to have pizza at the Fired Pie over on 24th Street in Baseline.
Oh,
It's going to be awesome. You should come, absolutely.
Now, George, you're going to be at an event we have coming up on Friday.
exactly.
Well, Friday we have, it's Constitution Week starts tomorrow, if you don't know. And thank goodness this is required now for public schools. But September 17th is the anniversary of the signing of the U.S. Constitution. This year it's the 230th anniversary.
Wow.
And a lot of constitutional issues going on right now. People crazy enough to throw things out like maybe we should, repeal the First Amendment. Amazing that you have to have the First Amendment to be allowed to say that. But
Yeah, that's right.
It shows, I think, the lack of education around the Constitution. But we have our Constitution dinner ending the week. It's this Friday, the 22nd. If you're interested in details, you can go to our website, our county website, maricopagop.org. maricopagop.org. Right at the very top of the page, you'll see a little beige banner, and it's got 3 little faces in it. And our speakers are actually Attorney General Mark Brnovich, Attorney
Nice.
General for Arizona, one of our Supreme Court justices for Arizona, Clint Bolick, and Bill Montgomery, our county attorney. And so they're all going to be talking about the Constitution, times they've interacted with it. You might get some stories about the U.S. Supreme Court, and definitely some stories about each of them and things that they deal with on a regular basis to defend the Constitution.
And what about that recording artist?
So Matt Ferris, is a country music artist. He's got a contract out in Nashville, and he's actually a local guy, but splits time between here and there, and then he's on tour sometimes. It's open for Trace Adkins and some other big names.
Wow.
And so he'll be coming out doing some covers, but also doing some original songs. So we're excited to have live music celebrating there.
Chairman Herring, how much are the tickets?
The tickets are $45, and it is a barbecue dinner. Now, people get confused. We're not barbecuing. The dinner is barbecue, and it is award-winning barbecue. If you've never had K-Star barbecue,
Sweet.
I'll be honest, I've been all over the state. Everywhere I go, I try to find the best barbecue restaurant. I'll go on Yelp, what's rated #1. This is the best barbecue I've had in Arizona. And he makes it out of a food truck, but he had the truck built, I think, in Oklahoma, and he had the smoker as a separate industrial smoker built in Alabama, and then he had them put together, and he makes amazing, amazing barbecue. So we're glad to have K-Star out doing our catering for the event, and a great lineup. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Then you have a pies and silent auction and stuff?
We have a pie auction. Yeah, we're going to be auctioning some pies. So we've got some pies from Piefection that we've given them colorful names after our speakers. And our silent auction, now this is the thing, if you are a fan of President Trump, now I haven't seen it, but I've been told by someone that worked for the campaign that they have secured an autographed Make America Great Again hat that's been autographed by the president, President Trump, and that will be at our silent auction. We also have some items from the White House gift shop, and then a number of other great things. We've got, if you got kids, we got a ride along with the fire department on a fire engine. So a few different cool items. That'll be up for auction. Some Diamondbacks tickets. They're in the chase. We got 4 Diamondback tickets. So there should be a number of things, but we're excited for it.
That sounds like a great deal for $45. I mean, you're going to go for sure, right, George? I'm trying to go. I'm still working things out. Helen, you going to be there?
No, I'm going to be out of town.
Oh, you're going to be out of town. Okay, you have an excuse.
We got a lot of people that'll be there. A lot of our legislative officials, some of our county officials, Congressman Andy Biggs is going to be there. I believe Congressman Trent Franks will be there, so it should be a really, really fun event.
And it's not it's a dress up that you can wear your jeans, right?
Yeah,
Very
jeans,
casual?
Jeans. Yeah, it's casual. So I will not be in shorts, but I'm sure some people will.
No, you wear chaps, right?
I know.
And boots. Right on. No, it's going to be a great time. I'm going to try to go.
We're looking forward to it.
We're working on it. All right, so let's get back to a few of the topics I want to talk about. In College Park, Maryland, I saw this on Tucker Carlson, I think it was last night or the night before, and they're actually letting people who live there illegally, they're illegal aliens, and they're letting them vote in the local elections. Helen, you got some thoughts about that?
Well, of course, it wouldn't be allowed in Arizona because of the laws that we have, thank heavens.
Mm-hmm.
So I think, I don't know what the criteria it is that they're asking for, you know, but what they say you have to, do you have to be somebody who uses city utilities in order to do that? How do they know who you are if they have no connection? There's got to be some kind of connection, but I certainly don't think it's something that we should see in this country. This country was made for citizens to vote. I know at times I saw, in the time that I was in the recorder's office, some people would encourage parents who were not legal citizens, would encourage parents, oh, it's okay if you vote in the school elections. And they would, you know, call us and say, you know, I'm not registered, but they say it's okay if I register if I just vote in the school elections. No, it's not. It doesn't make any difference whether you have a child in school or not. If you're not a citizen, you're not allowed to vote. And
Well,
thank heavens Arizona has this law.
Yes, I was just astounded that you would even think. I mean, your vote is precious, and along those lines with the DACA thing that's happening, you know, one of the proposals that I put through, because a lot of these kids, they came here when they were young through no fault of our own, and because of our policies and things that we have, we made it attractive for them to be here. But one of my things, if it is decided that they do get to stay here legally and given legal status, I would like to see them have a legal status for about 18 years, because I had to be 18 when I voted, and provided all their nose is clean, no trouble, then they can be considered for citizenship. Am I too harsh, guys?
I don't think you're too harsh. I think it's a complicated issue because, you know, we claim to be a country of laws, but we do a lot of things without ever passing laws, and that really complicates things. You know, if you think about it, and I like to make it local here in Arizona, you know, when DACA was passed, we have a law that says, you know, that there's in-state tuition for our state universities and there's out-of-state tuition. And when DACA came about, the Board of Regents said, well, they get in-state tuition if they've lived in Arizona. And what that means is, and you got to think about this, that means a U.S. citizen who does not live in Arizona comes to Arizona to go to a school paid for by federal dollars, meaning their taxes still pay for that school. When the federal government gives Arizona State University Title IV funds, that's federal tax dollars. But they have to pay a much, much higher price to go to that school being funded by their tax dollars than someone who's not a U.S. citizen. And that's where you get those weird situations where you say, okay, we don't want to harm people who didn't choose to come here. They weren't the ones that chose to break the law. You're not going to accuse an infant of breaking the law. And what are they going to do, run away from home? You know, look back across the desert? No. Okay, so they're in a really difficult situation. But when you don't do it the right way, when you don't do it the way the Constitution outlines, you end up with these very strange situations. That's why I applaud the president for saying Congress needs to get something done and not passing an executive order to further, you know, the quagmire. So
Jimmy Carter is backed the president on his.
I saw that, George.
And that's really strange because Jimmy Carter doesn't want anything the Republicans do, but he backed them up. He says that it's the Congress's job, not the president's job, to do the DACA, and he said the president was right. You know, so.
And Chris, I agree with you because having a lot of relatives that are out of state, it just wouldn't be fair because they would have to pay out of state tuition, but somebody who's illegally residing here gets in-state. It's a fairness issue. It's a rule of law.
There's a majority of DACA students that their parents would be included in staying here.
And that's another fallout.
You have 800,000 DACA students in the United States. How many more parents are involved? So you're talking probably in the millions.
It does need to be addressed. George, you know what else needs to be addressed? It's time for your One Truth commercial.
One Truth. The sponsor for this segment is One Truth. Here's their song, Inferno.
This commercial break will be 2 minutes.
Okay.
This will be a shorter one.
Okay.
So you know what I was thinking? So if they're letting illegal immigrants vote, right? What benefit is there remaining, or what privilege do citizens get that illegals don't? You know, the only thing I could come up with was jury duty. is there anything else that we've heard that an illegal immigrant, someone that's not a citizen, has been able to do that a citizen isn't? And I think jury duty is the only thing that I've never heard, you know.
Hold your thought real quick. George is getting ready to finish this out. Ready? Go.
That was One Truth with Inferno. Inferno is one of their best songs that I like, and One Truth has been with J.C. Gonzalez. Has been one of our sponsors for almost 3 years. They're a progressive group from West Virginia, and I think it's West Virginia. Yeah, West Virginia, and what?
We are live on the air, George.
You could get the song on iTunes. So go to iTunes and download the song. I think you'll like it. It's a song about the history of their music life. And we'll be back with more of the Chips and Salsa show in a few minutes. So stay tuned.
All
Okay.
right. We got 2 minutes in this one.
We have 2 minutes. This is going to be our last segment already. The show's going really fast. So, is there anything? Oh, what about your buddy Nexus? Is he not going to come?
I guess he didn't show up, so we're just going to do the commercials.
So you already kind of did one. So if you want to do another one?
And I can say a little bit about him.
Why don't you bring it in and do the commercial, and then we'll continue with the rest of the show after you do the Nexus commercial live? Now, what is there something that we haven't covered that you would like to talk about, Chris and Helen?
Topics. I think we want to talk about just the importance of the upcoming election. If we want to get political, that's what's on my mind. I mean,
Yeah.
Let's do it.
right?
You know, to me, this right here, this was so complicated. This was the election instruction to the workers. And it goes
All right, 1 minute.
to so many pages. He doesn't have anything like this. They went through a lot of work to put this together. This is no longer any good. I mean, look
But
at
he's using a completely new system.
Yeah.
Now, is this-
Workers, troubleshooters.
Yeah, that was in 2016. But that's a step-by-step for the poll workers and the troubleshooters, what they had to do, how they had to set up. All of that's gone out the window because he's eliminated the setup and everything.
There's the new machines.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With the new machines.
Yeah.
That is totally.
Well, and the new machines he has, I don't think he'll be able to use at the majority of polling locations.
Yeah.
Because I
He's
think he
not.
only has 100 and something of them.
And the thing that bothers me the most,
So how is he going to spread that across the county?
I think he bought machines for
All right, 10 seconds. Stand by.
the ballot center.
is it this side? I can't remember now.
Yeah, it's yeah, that side.
And I don't like that they're not going to count.
Can I listen too? Of course you can.
It's my little great nephew
Welcome
Zachary.
back. Welcome back to the Chips and Salsa Show. This is Jorge El Alacran with Alice Lara, my co-host.
Hola.
I want to just mention one more time about Nexus, our new one of our new sponsors. They're a construction company here in Phoenix. They do all kinds of work, construction work. They do barn-style sliding doors. That's what I wanted to say earlier. Barn-style sliding doors. You see them in furniture stores now, and they're very, very unique, and they're very popular with the people that are trying to modernize their homes now. I saw some I really like. Although established in 2014, Nexus Constructions has been a long time in the works. Owner Cameron Ashley has been in the industry since he immigrated from New Zealand in 1999. Starting off working in his uncle's company, Marlin Construction, based in Lake Havasu. In 2005, that's 2005, Cameron co-founded the much successful North Harbor Steel Erectors based in Parker County. From there, Cameron helped start up the very much successful Caliber Metal Building LLC. Between Cameron and his hand-picked experienced workers and dedicated staff, Nexus Construction is a great choice for your next project. So keep that in mind. We'll be mentioning Nexus in the next few months because we've teamed up with Nexus as a sponsor, as well as One Truth, and then as well as Andy Zhang and his crusade for the Chinese Cultural Center.
So we are not going anywhere. We're always developing sponsors, and we are very lucky to have good ones that we have. But if you'd like to sponsor our show, we're not going to say no to anybody. We're not. We could easily do 2 or 3 hours,
all comers.
but we need more sponsors. If you're interested in doing a show, go to centralcityradio.com and just find Julian on there. He's always looking for new shows. We are growing here, so
Oh, yeah.
we encourage it. It's a nice political venue that you can come, and we're on Facebook, we're on YouTube. By the way, George, we're going to be changing the name for YouTube. Right now, if you go to YouTube, you search Sonia Salsa S, right?
Sonia, salsa.
But
yes.
we're going to be changing that. So we'd like for our audience, our chipsters, who come every week to the Molcajete,
Give us a new-
get your guac on and think about what you think it should be. Should have
Yeah.
salsa in there. We can't use chips and salsa because that's already taken.
Yeah.
So think about something and shoot it to us through Facebook or an email, alice@chipsandsalsashow.com.
Yeah,
We'd like your
something with
input.
salsa and chips and burritos.
Burritos, enchiladas, rice, tacos, whatever. Yeah, something, cocotazo. Maybe we use cocotazo. Salsas and cocotazo. But think about it. So we're down to our last few minutes of the segment. I can't believe how fast the show is going. And we have in studio with us, we're very honored and thrilled to have former Maricopa County Recorder, Helen Purcell. Thank you so much for being here today. And also we have Maricopa County Chairman Chris Herring. And Chris had a real good idea during the break. Let's talk about elections. I shoot it at you, Chris. What do you say?
I think it's going to be a very interesting cycle. 2016 was historic. It was a lot of voters that maybe don't traditionally vote, came out to vote. I personally met voters that said, I haven't voted in 50 years. And I'm like, that's a very long time to not have voted.
Yeah.
And something got them out of the house to go to a polling place and to vote. The interesting thing, I think, is going to be, do we see more of that in 2018? Do we see more voters that are either, one, motivated by President Trump and they still want to see him accomplish what he campaigned on? Do we see voters motivated against the president? Maybe some of the radical left, do they have new voters that come out? Or do we go back to, business as usual, so to speak, and follow historic norms? I think it's going to be an interesting cycle, and there's a lot at stake. There's only 2 seats in the U.S. Senate deciding who's in control of the Senate, and I think between now and then we need to see the Congress get something done. I'd love to see tax reform get done. We haven't had that since Reagan was president, and so there's a lot at stake, and we could really see some significant changes for the better for the country. But we've got to get on the same page.
Chairman Herron, I just want to ask you, because you are, I like to call you a whippersnapper because you're younger than me, but do you see the younger people getting more involved now than before? Are you seeing that?
I hear it a lot. Here's the thing with being a young person. I don't have the same points of reference. I don't remember the Reagan elections, or Goldwater, but that's what I hear compared to when I talk to people. I'm lucky to, in Maricopa County, have people that have been involved in politics for 40 and 50 years. And when I talk to them, they'll say, Goldwater here in Arizona, he was a big deal. Goldwater got me involved, and they remember the youth movement with Goldwater. And then others say Reagan got me involved, and I was X years old, and I got involved, knocking on doors for President Reagan's campaign. I hear a lot of that right now. Social media has changed things. Young people are able to engage in politics in a different way. They don't need to pick up the New York Times or the Wall Street Journal to learn about politics. It's pretty much.
Do they even know what a newspaper actually is?
If they can, if they can vote, hopefully they at least know what it is. But they're not reading it. I've never had a newspaper subscription that I've paid for.
Wow.
I remember my parents had it in Los
says a lot.
Angeles, but I've never paid for a newspaper subscription. And so, it's different. But we're inundated with politics. When I go on my news feed on Facebook, it's every other story is political, and that's where young people are getting the information from, and that's where they're sharing it. So it's a lot more accessible because they don't have to go out of their way to find the information anymore. But whether it translates to voting is the thing that people like me care about. Is we love that they're listening, we love that they're talking about it, but we also want them to actually get out and vote. And I think that's going to be the key: is do these groups that are passionate right now, are they going to actually show up on election day? And we know that that's not always the case. There's people I talk to during election season, and we talk you know, for months in advance, and then I ask them the day after the election, did you vote? And they go, oh, I forgot. And you think, how, you know? But so that's what we're interested to see. But we're going to be doing all we can here in Maricopa County, like you know, being one of the largest counties, we have a lot of seats at stake in both our state legislature, for local office, for congressional seats, and for the U.S. Senate this year. We've got a seat that's vulnerable. And so one of those 2 seats, we're really hoping we're going to do everything we can to make sure if we do lose seats in the U.S. Senate, it didn't happen in Arizona. So,
in all the years that you've been, or that you were a county recorder, you saw the trends go up and down on the off years.
You always see that in the non-presidential years. And the thing that Chris mentioned, who gets them motivated to go to the polls? And 9 times out of 10, that's somebody running for president. As we saw last year, we had so many candidates boiling down to 2, and we got there. So there was a lot of activity there. But I think the advent that you were talking about of social media makes a big difference, because if we can keep these young people engaged all the time, then maybe that will encourage them to get out and vote. If they're really thinking about it, if they're really listening to what other people are saying, what their peers are saying, then that's going to, I think, motivate them. But we've got to give them something, you know, the party has to offer them something.
I agree. We have to show we can get something done too. You know, young people like a positive message. You know, politics is often based on the negative, and that's a tactic, and we all know that, you know, when people say, why do they spend all this millions of dollars on negative ads? It's negative ads keep people home. And if you can keep the opposition's voters from going out, you don't have to turn out as many as the others. But young voters, that's not necessarily as effective. They want a positive message to respond to. And so if you can show them a positive message, and then show them you're going to follow through on it, they will respond. And so that's what we have to do. We have to show young people that if you vote for Republicans, Republicans will listen and will get things done. And that's what they want to see.
And Chris, speaking on that same point, someone who wants to get a hold of you and get more engaged in the party, what should they do? Where should they go?
I'm going to say the best place to go is our website again, maricopagop.org. That's probably the best place. There's contact us links that do come out to me. Also Facebook, you can find the Maricopa County GOP on Facebook, and we update there regularly. If you go to our website, you can sign up for our newsletter. We put a newsletter out every couple weeks, and it tells things that are going on in the county. But yeah,
lots of ways to do it. I want to thank Helen Purcell for coming in today. It's been great. I hope you come back, Helen.
Thank you.
Lots of knowledge to share.
Yeah.
Chris Herring,
I want to
20
say
seconds.
One thing. Helen, you did a great job in the 26 years? 28 years that you were county recorder, and we all respect you. And,
we miss you.
We miss you. And stay in the picture. Stay with us, because we all love you. I mean, you know, you meant so much for the party.
Thank you, George Ortiz. Thank you, Chris. Hope you come back too. I'm Alice Lara. Be with us again next Saturday at 4 p.m. for the Chips and Salsa Show here on Central City Radio, King FM. Thank you. Just made it.
And everybody on YouTube and Facebook, thank you for tuning in.
Yes, thank you very much. And before you go, let's take some photos.
Let me just stop this.
If there's anything that we missed too, I think we got everything in here. There's just, you know, the hour goes fast.